Hi, this is Sarah, the Stitchin' Mommy, and I'm here for my weekly cross-stitching update. It's November 28th, 2022. Here with Smokey. She's all stretched out here, ready to hang out with us today. So, I have a little bit of stuff to show you from the Fat Quarter Shop. Some of it's quilting and some of it's cross stitch. And at this point, I'm not giving anything away, but I think some of these will eventually be giveaways. I didn't figure this would be a good time for a giveaway with an elevated amount of stuff in the postal system right now because of Christmas coming, and it's just busy. So I'll wait. And if there's another milestone in the future, you might see these. So first one is cookie cutter ornaments. I might actually keep this one. These are cute. To do little smalls, or for my daughter to do if she feels up to it. Rudolph. I have previously given away like a Santa and a Frosty the Snowman. So this is a third one in that series. And then these are quilting ones. Oh no, this is another cross-stitching one. I think I got this already when I got the Stitch Quarterly. So this will be a giveaway in the future. This is so cute. And actually, maybe let's do a giveaway for this one today, because I'm looking out the window and the leaves are falling off the trees. This past weekend, a lot of them fell, so it's feeling a little more wintry. Fall is definitely here in Southern California. I know some places it's full-on winter with lots of snow, but here it's still mid to late fall. So I'm going to go ahead and give this one away now and just use the word fall in your comment. Don't use the word giveaway or free or prize or anything like that, and I'll draw for this next week. It's so cute. I love this little fox. I'll probably do this one eventually just because it's adorable, but I have one already, so that's a duplicate. These are two quilting patterns. Swallowtail. That's a cute one. And then this is a big one. So Scrappy Spools, which is rather clever. They're all spools of thread is what they look like, but the inside of each spool is a different design. There's a flag, some classic quilty patterns, flower. So that's pretty interesting. And there's a heart, it looks like. So that's a fun one. Nice big one. So there's that. And then personally, I didn't end up starting this kitty pattern that I had bought last week, but I went ahead and kitted up because I wanted to make sure I'm ready. And this week I wasn't ready, but I got it ready. So it's ready to start as a travel piece whenever I want to do it. So went ahead and cut a piece of the 25 count Prim vintage cloth. I'll do it 1/1. I put a length of DMC on the thread card for each of the DMC colors that was called for, and I bobbinated the etoile that that was needed. And then I was going to convert the etoile to the beads to etoile also, and so there's a couple that I wasn't sure if I was going to use those or not, and then I ran out of bobbins at my stitchy spot. So this one was just because I ran out of bobbins, and then this one I lost it. I haven't used any etoile as far as I can remember. I had the white bobbinated as a possible choice for my Advent Animals, decided not to use it, but I found it pre-bobbinated in my thread boxes in my closet. All the other ones were still in the original tin that I got, that collector's tin of all the colors. I'm like, I know I have it. I checked a couple likely whips that might have been in it, couldn't find it, so I bought a new one at Michael's. So it's there and ready to go for when I need it. So, and then I kitted up my Temperature Quaker as well. This is my newest temperature design in my Etsy shop, which is still having a sale, 20% off through, I guess, Wednesday, through the 30th. Yeah, through Wednesday. So lots of temperature designs there. This is my latest one. And as somebody, I think it was Leanne Stitches, commented in her latest video, this is just the stitching for the days. Like a lot of the other designs have extra stitching. The butterflies have outlines. The cats and the dogs, they have like motifs and even the garden has like the stems. There's always, a lot of them have something else besides the actual colored bits. The Temperature Quaker is just the colored bits. So for a day, you just stitch the little chunk that's designated for that day, and there's no additional like extra stuff. So it will be, in that sense, it's nice because then you can just stitch the days. You don't have to stitch the structure, I guess. Like the tree, you have to stitch the trunk, you know, have a place to place all the leaves. But so that is a nice feature of this one. All of the letters and small motifs that are scattered throughout will be the month of December. So that's not a, those are also temperature things. And I waited to do those during December so you have all the other motifs done so that you can easily place and count to those little floating ones in the middle. So I kitted it up. I like to blow up the symbol key in Adobe Reader and then hole punch it and put my DMC on that, and then rolled up my also 25 count Prim vintage cloth, and that's what I'm gonna be doing. So I'm excited to start that one as soon as I finish the Wander With Me, which hopefully will coincide real nicely with around the new year. So I guess we can jump in and work on, or show you what I've been working on. So I did my Wander With Me a little bit this week, Temperature Wander With Me. It's the only, like, not really traditional. I have my, like, year-end stitches by the Victoria Sampler. I didn't work on that this week because my kids were home, but I did work on this and got 2 paws done. Almost had time to do the mouse, but I think this coming week I should only have 1 paw to do to get caught up, so then I'll hopefully also be able to stitch the mouse, get 1 more of those little bonus motifs stitched. So here is this one. This is 25 count, just kidding, 27 count Linda in Vintage Country Mocha, 1/1 full cross. Did these 2 little paws here. They're like a dark green. So it did warm up a little bit. These are pretty much 70s temperatures. And the blues are like 60s, and then the 50s is purples, which there's a little bit of kind of a periwinkle purple. There's one, I think this one, this toe pad right there is a purple one. It's kind of hard to see when they're so small, but it should get cool again for us this weekend. It's supposed to get down again into the 50s and 60s and rain, which is winter in Southern California. So it'll be nice to get some cool temperatures, cool colors. So I'll be coming back to my year-end stitches this week. I'm working on September, and I'm not sure exactly how much longer this is going to take me. I won't get it done this year. I'll keep plugging away at it during the pickup line stitching. I don't have as much time this year as I did last year. It's just the way the schedules have worked out this year, but I do have plans for my travel stitching, in the ballet lines, not really ballet line, but school pickup stitching next year. But I think this could maybe fit with that as well until it's done. So here it is all together just as a starting point, which I showed you last week already. So no progress, but this is where this is at by the Victoria Sampler, and it's a Creative Designs project, so you pick your own colors. Mine is 28 count, mostly 2/2 because of the specialty stitches, and there's a little bit of 1/1, so I like to do that on 28 count. My main travel stitching this week was my Under the Sea Club, because it was easy to take places, and I want to get caught up on this and get this finished. So this is Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. Under the Sea Club is their 2022 Mystery Stitch Along. This one started in March, I believe, as did the one before that. The one 2 years ago, I think, was a supply chain issue for their kits, and this one might have been similar, or maybe they were just kind of behind because of the last one. I'm not really sure. So I don't know if they'll come out with a new theme right around the new year or if they'll wait again until the spring and have it be like a 9-month stitch along instead of a 12-month thing. I don't know. I'm not planning to do the one for 2023, but I will not make a promise in case it's like irresistible. But at this point, I don't plan to do another one. I have other things I want to do in 2023, and I will be talking about that at the end of the video. I have some adjustments to my plans. So we did get the last main clue. Here at the bottom of the seafloor, there's a rock, which kind of blends in this picture, but it is a rock in gray, little crabby and a bunch of corals and stuff. So I made decent progress on this week. I took it with me to family gatherings. I pulled it out a couple times during family gatherings, and then also a few times when we were watching stuff as a family. So here we go. 25 count, 1/1 full cross with almost all of my own colors, just similar to what's called for. So I don't remember, I think I'd already had the otters finished, and these fishes might have already been done too. I finished the turtles and then added the eyes for these orange fishes as well as the eyes for the turtles and the diver. The diver is mostly finished. These little bubbles are all finished, but there's a little bit more border that comes down here. He has his gray, like, snorkel pipe and oxygen tank, which will also be in the rock. So I was kind of waiting a little bit on that. I did his outfit, which is the color of this seaweed. So I started in on the seaweed. His fins, I realized I had missed a couple stitches in his fins when I was working on this wave. So I went ahead and did the body of the crab because that was the same color. So there's a couple more little baby fish in here that look just like this one. Oh, that's the start of some tall coral over here. So that's what that is. That's what's on my needle right now. So 2 other little fishes like that one, and then all the corals and the rocks and whatnot. So it's coming along. I am no longer behind because, well, technically, the little gray bits on the diver are technically the last part. But other than that, I'm actually caught up. So that feels really good. Because the only part that's, except for those little small bits on the diver, the only parts unstitched are the November parts, which just came out. So excellent. I do hope to get back to my Mill Hill this week. I didn't work on it this last week. It's Mill Hill Monday, so I'll go ahead and pull this out today, hopefully for a few stitches. And this one is what this is looking like now. I've got the bee completely finished except for back stitching in the wings, which I'll need to wait until I have more done around the wings first. And I think my plan was to work on some of the outline stitches that make up the honeycomb. I feel like that'll give me a nice placement for everything else. So it's kind of my plan. So we'll see how I get on with that this afternoon. There's a new Mill Hill hashtag that is just starting for Merry Mill Hill, which Cat Talks, Miss Tea and Stitches over on Instagram put that together last year, and I think they're doing that again to do a Christmas themed Mill Hill, and they've been doing that all, like pretty much every season this year, which has been fun. I have not really been participating. I think the one season I could have was like spring, and I think that's when I was thinking of starting this one. I don't remember. That could have been the hummingbird even. I felt like I tried to participate in one and then got thrown out myself. I threw myself out just because life happened and I wasn't able to work on it. I don't want to have more than one going. I think last year I actually worked on the Merry Mill Hill with my snowflake. I realized, I remember that now. I started that little snowflake and finished it. It's done now. I don't remember when I finished it or if I finished it in December or not, but can fully finish it into an ornament this year if I'm on it. I don't know if I will be. I have a little pretzel kit, but it's not really Christmas, and it's probably going to end up on the fridge and not the tree, so I guess that doesn't count. And I don't want another buttons and beads started. I want to only have one of those on the go at a time. So I will be participating in that. But if you really like Mill Hill, feel free to go over to that hashtag and jump in and have fun with that. I guess now we're on to regular stuff. So I worked on my first WIPGO Fancy Lady for November. I worked on Adia, the Garden Fairy, and I still have all of the beads in Kreinik, like, with the pattern. Some of them I've taken out and put in a master bead set, but I haven't done that with this one yet. I don't know if I will either. This one has a lot. Might be nice to just leave them there. I worked on this for 3 days and got an okay amount. Those 3 days were pretty busy leading up to Thanksgiving. So I went ahead and worked in the wings and just did some color completion within the top portions of the wings. She has her arms out, and there is some wings underneath her arms, but I just focused on what was above her arms and was color completing the DMCs that were next. So I started on these blues and just finished them out throughout the wings because it was easy. I did 2 or 3 lengths of thread a day and called it good. Because it's progress, it was fairly quick, little minimal counting, and for the time I had, I felt like that was a good way to progress on the WIP without a lot of stress or, you know, making the most of my time. So here is where this one's at. As far as I know, this is 32 count dirty linen, the called for, 2/2 full cross, and I finished the lightest, they're all dark shades, but I finished the lightest blue, this one, on all of the wings above the arms. There's more under the arms, but I didn't want to get down too far. And then I started in on the medium shade of dark blue and did that here and here. And there will be some more of it, but I ran out of time. There is a tiny bit, as you'll see some holes in here, there's a tiny bit of a darker third blue in some of these patches, which are already in these patches because those were done previously. So that's what I did. 3 days, WIPGO goal accomplished. Not a lot, but it's something, and I'm happy with that. And then I think actually I'll show my quilting because I did that midweek this week. I cut all the pieces out on Tuesday and then sewed it up on Friday, which I really liked because then I could focus on the weekend on my stitching with my extra time, and I like that. So I'm working on the Scrappiness is Happiness sampler quilt, which is basically 1 block of each of the blocks in the Scrappiness is Happiness book. And this week we were working on the Happy Trails block. So it was a big block and there was a lot to do, but I got it done. I don't remember which way is up. I had some issues with my Chex Mix block the week before because I think even though I'd measured it and have been assuming for the past 25 years that my presser foot was a 1/4 inch, I think it's just slightly more than a 1/4 inch. So then it was messing up my seam allowances. So I changed my presser foot to a smaller one and I realized the edge of the feed dogs is a 1/4 inch. So I'm using that and that helped a lot. And I got other tips for, you know, ironing and some diagonal seam tape to put on my machine, like things like that. Little tips. I have been sewing for a very long time, but there's just those little things that are specific to quilting that kind of make a difference for this sort of thing. So this is not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. I feel like it's still slightly off in the middle, but it's close and it's not small, not too small. So I think this turned out rather well for, yeah, I see right away, like I see this is a little bit, like this whole middle section is a little off, but that's all right. Most of it is lining up nicely, and I think it turned out really nice. So, happy with that. This coming week, we'll be working on a Lincoln, is it a Lincoln log block? Yeah, Lincoln log block. There's 2 different Lincoln log blocks, and this scrappy quilt is doing the second one. So it'll look something like that. But as I've been doing, I'll take my color cues from their example, which looks like it's probably this one. So I might try to find similar colors to that to kind of match the color placement, because it's nice to have like something to follow. All right. Yeah. All right, so then I worked on Cat Alphabet, which is my second WIPGO call on my full coverage board for November. Got a lot of things with them. Start with C. Here's Cat Alphabet by Heaven and Earth Designs. The regular colors, regular size. It is still large though, 625 wide. I am focusing in on this top letter block. So you'll see there's the word cat and then alphabet with the kitty cat sleeping in the middle. Oh, it looks like there's some little mice on the sides. I don't think I realized that before. That's cute. And all the different gradient colors. So I've been continuing to do the like original typewriter method with this one, where I go across the whole first line, then the second whole first line in my method of choosing symbols, rather than a block at a time like I did on my last project. Because I like the variety, especially in this piece, of all the different colors that I get to play with in the course of a rotation when I do it that way. So it turned out a little funky. There's like, it's not as, I don't know, there's like colors everywhere. Anyways, it's all right. I got to my 1,000 stitches. I had to work on it on Sunday as well, which cut into my sampler of stitches time, which is a little bit sad. But I eventually got to my 1,049 stitches to meet my WIPGO goal. And here it is. This is 28 count Ivory Lugana 1/1 full cross. And I actually managed to completely finish the next 2 rows. So the first 3 rows in this title block are complete. And I went back and picked the first undone symbol in the 4th row as well to do 1 more color to make sure I got up over 1,000. So as you can see, hopefully, like this side is looking pretty good. It's like got some completeness to it. The C has a couple colors that started to come in, so it's looking weird though. It'll look better when things come in around it. There's some background stuff in here that's starting to come in. The T is starting, but like there's bits down here. There's a couple colors that I had that were starting to come in down here on the alphabet area, but I said, no, I don't have anything down there. I don't want to count wrong. And so then some of these other colors started coming down closer. And so then I got color symbols later that, oh, well, that's near these little dots that are already there. So let's go ahead and fill in. So there were some colors over here that ended up down here. This, I believe, is the beginning of the L, and the A is here somewhere. So A-L, alphabet. And the cat will be in the middle. And apparently there's going to be some mice over here too, which I didn't realize until just now. So that's fun. It's looking a little bit crazy pants, but it's really enjoyable to work on all the different colors throughout the course of the rotation. So I was somewhat tempted to go back and do the whole block at the beginning, but then I would be working on nothing but yellow and orange for a little while. And I'm like, I want to get into the greens and the purples and the blues. And so I did, and that was fun. I enjoyed that rotation a lot. And I think it took a little longer just because, you know, stuff's happening in life and it's full cross. So that does take me slightly longer than half cross projects. So. But super fun. Love the colors. I like bright colors, and it's happy and cheerful. And then I did get to work on sampler stitches for the first time in a long time. So I'm very excited about that. Here is Sampler of Stitches by the Drawn Thread. You can find this still on their website, but you have to buy it in 9 individual patterns. And each pattern set comes with what it needs for, like if there's a bead or a charm or something, it comes with that. And this is the one I'm working on right now, trying to finish up the letter R. I did a decent amount on this, but it didn't finish it. So I finished the R block, which is a good amount. I finished the roses in both this and this, and then did this stitch. So I still have this stitch and then these 3 over here too. There's actually 4 over here because the flowers and the stems are 2 different stitches. So lots of stitching on this letter R. I do want to finish this year. I feel like I made room for this project this year. I don't want to make room for it next year. I have plans for my Sunday next year. I did Sunday stitching. I am enjoying this, but I also want it done. So I'm planning to spend a decent amount of my extra stitching time in December on this to try to get it finished. So hopefully I can do that. Yeah, we'll see. That's my plan. Here it is all together. This is 30 count linen. Here's the PQR block before and after. 30 count custard cream linen, which is the called for. 1/2 with all the called for materials. And yeah, finished the R. It's all cross stitched except for the flowers, which are rice stitches. And then I did these roses, which were a rose stitch. And then this is a ring back stitch, maybe. This one is, there's a couple other ones in here too. There's where they make you pass through, do the same stitch twice throughout the whole stitch set, and it's really annoying. Like, I don't want to stitch it twice. It's already taking long enough. So this one ended up, the way you kind of made these figure 8s as you're going through, and the verticals and the horizontals were stitched twice as you made your passes through. So if I followed their instructions to the letter, I would be doing the verticals and the horizontals 4 times in the same little square, or the same little back stitch would be done 4 times in the same area. No. No, I'm not doing that. So I basically made it so they all ended up with 2. So the diagonals, I did 2 as I was going through. The verticals and the horizontals, I did 1 as I passed through, and then as I passed through the second time, I did a second one. And just so that everything ended up even, everything had 2, and it went faster. So I didn't do that one as called for, but that's okay. I'm fine with that. So going forward, the last 3 days of November, I'm going to work on my final November Fancy Lady pick, which is Gracious Era. This is a gold collection dimensions kit. And I started this last year with Terry Lee Crafts. And this one got pulled for November. So I started, only have a little bit here on this lamppost. So I'm not exactly sure what I'll work on. If I want to do some sky and try to get a lot done. There's a lot of tree in there. I don't know how much of it's backstitch and how much of it's stitching. So we'll have to look at the pattern and see what's happening there. Yeah, so we'll see. This is on Kit Everything. I think yeah, that looks like me. I just wrote the letter, the color names on cardstock and printed it out, hole punched it. I think eventually I might draw the symbols on. I like to do that too, because then it makes it just one one easier step to finding what you need quicker. So because it's kit fabric, I like to start in the middle to make sure it's centered on what they provide. So I started in the middle, worked my way up. So I believe I'm at the, almost to the top. It looks like there's still some sky above that lamppost. So I'll probably keep going and work on sky just to make sure, because I like working from the top down. So this looks like, I think it's 16 count. 16 count Dove Gray Aida that came with the kit. And there is some half stitches there. That lamppost is a half stitch. And the front lamppost here is full cross. So it does have the dimension where the background will be a lot of half stitches. So that might be another nice way to make some progress on this, is work on the sky, because the sky is most likely going to be half stitches too. So it's probably what you're going to see. No guarantees, but that's my impression of that one. And then we'll be into December, which is very exciting. So I'm going to work on my first full coverage WIPGO project in December, which she didn't, I don't know if she posted anywhere, but she didn't need to call the numbers for December because it's basically just the last 2 squares. So Quick Stitch April Fairy is one of the last ones that had not yet been called. So I'll be working on this. This one's going to be tricky to get 1,000 stitches because it is full cross, and I'm also doing it with a like stitch by stitch diagonal method that's a little bit slower because I'm rethreading my needle a lot. I still like that method, but it will slow me down a little bit. So I'm hoping that I can get 1,000 stitches on this without too much trouble, without running into my Sunday stitching on Sampler of Stitches too much. So here is where this one's at. This is Rose Monaco, 1/1 full cross. And I am working stitch by stitch diagonals according to the Brian Bliss stitch method for the most part, so that each stitch is coming up in a square that has, in a hole that has 0 or 1 stitches, and going down in a hole that has 2 or 3, so that it's neater. And I'm enjoying the neatness and the methodicalness of this. It's enjoyable. So it'll be different though than the other things I work on. It does go a little bit slower, but it is fun in its own way. So hopefully I can get enough progress on that one to get to my 1,000 stitch WIPGO goal. Then I'll just do a kind of a flyby of the rest of my December plans. My second WIPGO Fancy Lady, or my 2 WIPGO Fancy Ladies, are Edwardian Lady by Joan Elliott and Roses of Provence by Mirabilia. So those will be my next 2 Monday through Wednesday projects. Next week, my Thursday through Saturday full coverage will be a new start, because I bought Sunnybirds a little while back, and Lisa from Lisa's Stitching and Such said she was going to start this for her birthday in December, so I'm going to start that with her, because why not? So I have this slotted to be started on 40 count cream linen, 1/1 half cross, so it should be fun. And I'll probably do what I did on the Hidden Harbor. I'll do a square by square typewriter method, and so a lot of sky, most likely. That'll be next week though. And then my second WIPGO piece, my second WIPGO Fancy Lady will be the following Thursday through Saturday, which will be Hibiscus Fairy, which is here. So that'll be fun to get that one out again too. Beyond that, I'd like to work on my Heirloom Nativity Sampler by the Victoria Sampler around Christmas time. And I would also like to work on, if I have time, this is the maybe, this Patchwork Quilt Room. I am stitching just this bottom part, and I only put in a few stitches on this because I worked on it one day, I think. All of my other full coverage pieces, either WIPs or New Starts, got at least 1,000 stitches in 2022, except for this one. So if I finish Sampler of Stitches before the end of the year, I want to come back and wrap out that 1,000 stitch goal. On this one, I got this little chunk of curtain done and then stopped. So I'll go over here and work on some bush or whatever. So that's my hope, that I can get to that before the end of the year, get that goal checked. But all my Sunday stitching except for Christmas Day and the Monday, I'll show you. I have these 3 Sundays, and then this Monday through Wednesday, this Monday through Wednesday. So 9 days will be Sampler of Stitches. So hopefully that'll be enough to get it done. If not, I can work into that patchwork quilt room section, because I may not need all 3 days to finish that since I've already got a day on it. So I'm hoping that I can get that stuff done. So that'll be good. Going forward into 2023, I've been having some changes of heart about my plans for next year. And I like the thought, as I always do, of working on everything at least once throughout the year. That gets tricky when I have so many projects, because then everything gets a very small amount of progress every year. And it's sad to have to put something away and know you're not going to see it again until next year, and you've only got 2 or 3 days on it this year. So another thought that has occurred to me, some people have pointed this out, that I do tend to have 2 types of projects. Projects that are, I would like to see them finished, and then projects that I don't care if they ever get finished. And I feel like my feelings are completely divided on those types of projects. So there's some things like, yes, I want this done, I want this out of the way, I don't want to have to keep coming back to it year after year. Then there's other ones, I start them with 0 intention of finishing them. The goal is to work on them and enjoy them for as long as I can. That's just the way it is. And most of my full coverages fall in that category. And somebody even commented that if I identify those I never need to finish this projects, to not include those in my WIP number, because they're not ever slated for a finish. So there's something to that, to be said for that. So I feel like I want to focus more on finishing some of the smaller, why is it still here projects. And I have Carolyn over at Cezek Stitch, she had a planning video that she put out yesterday, I think, and had some good ideas. So I think I might adopt a couple of her ideas. I would like to focus on finishing some of the smaller projects, but I also would like to enjoy working on my full coverages as well, because that's where my heart is right now. I really want to work on those. So I want to marry the 2 a little bit. So she had an idea where she's going to have a monthly focus piece for, I forget what, just to work on it a certain amount. I don't think she has a specific goal necessarily for those monthly focus pieces, but I thought that was a good plan. I do have 2 months in the year which will not have specific projects designated for them. Full coverage February is going to have, I'm going to draw a random full coverage project every day in February. And and then arbitrary August, I was planning to do an original, pull a random project every day. I think I might alter that and have it be all my non-full coverage. So February will be a random full coverage, August will be a random non-full coverage. And so those 2 months I'll work on that, so I won't have anything specifically earmarked to focus on those months. So I will pick 10 projects I would like to finish next year and slot them in on all of the other months and try to focus on those to get them finished throughout. And I'll probably choose from the smaller side of things to try to get them finished. I also had already had plans to have a finish WIP Go board next year, which will have very small things. So I'm going to spread out my advent animals and have a specific animal for each block And then there's like 3 more blocks to do very small things. And that will be part of my travel stitching plans, to work on those for travel stitching, in addition to finishing year-end stitches and finishing my oldest WIP. This is something I took from Jessie Marie Does Stuff. My oldest WIP, at this point, I'm considering it to be my antique shoe collection, which is on Aida, so that will be a good one to take in the car. And I want to block this out in 12 chunks. So I'll try to get that month's chunk done in that month in the travel stitching sector. So it won't be, yeah, so I'm gonna hopefully finish my oldest WIP and finish 10 additional smaller non-full coverage projects throughout 2023. As well as my Advent Animals, if I finish all of those throughout the, WIP Go draws, those should be finished. And I think the other things on my WIP Go finish board were my spring roundels, to at least have the first little tulip one finished. And Purple Pansy is another one from Carolyn Manning. It's small, it's all backstitching. It's, I think I can finish that one pretty quickly too. Give it a week or 2 in the travel line, and that should be done. So all of those things will be accounted for in my travel stitching. Bonus stitching, I had contemplated making my bonus stitching, which is like any extra time I have in the afternoon, will be above and beyond my main project for the day. And that's when I do like my Mill Hill kit on Mondays. I'll do that in a little bit in the afternoon if I have some time, and then the rest of the evening is something more concentrated time. My bonus stitching, I had considered putting Bear Time stories in there for my son, and trying to get that done in 2 years. I don't want to. That just seems like too stressful of a goal to work on. So I'm going to go back to my original plan of putting my Letter Fairies by Nora Corbett, like this one, in that bonus stitching slot. I really like the idea of putting those ones in there because they're small, and like my Mill Hill, like a string or 2 every day is going to make some significant progress, and I'll get them finished. I need to get those finished. My Bear Time Stories doesn't have an end date like these ones do. These ones, the girls are graduating from high school whether I'm ready or not, so I need to get them done. And I like working on them. I like them for that spot. So once I finish one, I'll just start the next one, because I have, I believe, I forget which one I'm working on right now. I think I'm working on F still right now, and she's graduating this spring, or this, in June. So I need to get that one done, and then I have 2 more the following June. So I need to work on those and make significant progress on those. So those will be my 6 day a week, if I have bonus stitching time, my projects for that. I do want to get back to working on my family pieces though. So I am hoping to work on Bear Time Stories, Visit Endor, Dragon Ride, and Simpsons for 1 or 2 days every month. I would like 2, but if worst case, if I have to focus on something else, I can bump it down to 1. Shrink it down to 1, I guess. But it would be nice to get two days on those for the 10 months that I'm planning for. So that will at least progress them, push them along the track to being done. I don't know if that will get any of them finished, but it's at least getting them closer. So I do want to keep working on those and chipping away at those. So that's kind of my plan. I don't have specific ideas for what else I'll work on, like when I'll fit in my full coverages and how long and all of that. Oh yeah, that's the other thing that Carolyn had that I'm adopting, the seasonal Sunday stitching. So this year I worked on sampler of stitches on Sunday. Next year I'm going to work on seasonal stitching like she is. She's going to work on her montage charts by Janet Stever, which I have. So here's an example. This is a winter one. So she's going to work on those every Sunday during the month that they are, that season. So I have these charts But I also have the floral crosses, which I have all 4 seasons. They're still need work. I have my Celtic Ladies collage, which all 4 seasons still need work. I have a couple other seasonal related things that are partially finished. So, but these 3 projects are all 4 seasons need work. So I figured that could be good. I'll work on those on Sundays. So I will give my Pain-Free Crafts montages each a whole month of Sundays within their season. And I'll give the Celtic Ladies montage a full month within their season to work on that quadrant. Do I have that in here to show you? Because I recharted those to be no, I don't. They're in Pattern Keeper, but I don't have them in my little thing with cover pages. They have their own thing. And I decided since February and August, I am not going to be able to do my sampler, my Sunday stitching. I will, I'm choosing to make the crosses have a decreased amount of stitching. So spring and fall, those seasons, whatever month would normally get a cross, I'm going to do 2 crosses in that month. So they'll get like 2 weeks each on their months rather than 4, roughly. And I chose to focus more on the Celtic Ladies versus the crosses because the Celtic Ladies are closer to a finish. They're one piece for all 4 seasons, whereas the crosses are fairly large pieces, thickly dense, thickly stitched, and there's 4 of them. So I have no intentions that those are going to be finished anytime soon. The Celtic Ladies are cropped on purpose to be smaller, to go faster. So I'm hopeful that if I give them 4 Sundays, it'll push them a lot faster towards a finish. So that's why I chose that. So that's kind of my idea. Hopefully that made sense to everybody. As it gets closer into December, and I pick my 10 focus on a finish pieces, I might do what Carolyn did and do a little like plans video to show those 10 pieces. We'll see. We'll see if I have time. But that could be fun to kind of say, these are the pieces I'm planning to focus on finishing in 2023. So I'm happy with that. That feels good to me because I feel like if I focus on knocking some of these projects off the bottom, then eventually I will get to the point where I can have some sort of even rotation where I do work on all of my projects a similar amount of time, and I can just be happy with that because I feel like at my core, I want to just do that. I want to focus, rotate through these fun ones that I really just like for fun and have no goals, and maybe have a finish rotation like Brian Blitzstitch once in a while does, where he has his focus piece for a week or whatever and switch to something else, then back to the week, switch to something else, back to the focus, switch to something else, and kind of work through there, and eventually you'll knock some off the bottom. It'll be a while before I get to that point, but that's kind of my goal, to like weed out some of the ones that are just hanging on. And I feel like Flosstube is the enabler here because I've discovered a lot of new designers since discovering Flosstube. So then I want to try all the different designers. So I have a lot of different projects from a lot of different designers that were just started for fun because I thought, well, sure, I need something from this designer. So, or starting something for a prompt or starting something with a friend. And there's nothing wrong with that, but eventually it kind of catches up with you and I want to finish those. So, yeah, I'm happy with this. More details to come as I kind of fine tune it, but I feel like that's a good direction to go. Let me know if you have any plans for 2023 and what you're thinking of doing. And I'll still start some things next year. It's not going to be a no new start year, but it will be more focused on finishing than I had originally planned. So I think that's a good thing. So Smokey and I say, have a wonderful week and happy stitching. Bye.